Perfect bullseye. Perfect event calendar. You guys, three, that was the best Christmas special I've ever seen from you guys. I fucking loved it. That was so intense and just like exactly what I needed. Really gave me the good South Park feeling. It was such a relief to see the old header, with the oh my god, it was so good. I loved it. And I felt like it was really uh thoughtful and um like there was this moment when I felt almost like Randy was working to make the Coke legal, was almost like this reference to him talking about what I'm wanting to supply to America and in fact to the universe, right? And it was just an epiphany for me. I just feel like completely recovered. Oh, hold on a second. So I've got my coffee here. I just want to say, like, fucking, I feel like my ears are ringing right now. I don't even know. Ugh, I don't know. Good morning, I guess. Let me just drink some more coffee. Mm. And it's interesting because with alcohol or with coffee, what I find is spiritual about it is it's a moment for the person to experience sort of the energy that will result from the drinking of alcohol, or it's almost like when you drink that alcohol, it's like you're drinking a potion, and you can sort of magically sense that your immediate future is suddenly drastically changed. It's like, oh, I just changed my mindset from where it was. And it's sort of like the pleasure of drinking that alcohol or the pleasure of drinking coffee is sort of associated with the gentle time travel, really, of like I'm actually gonna change my immediate experience, or I'm like investing in a different curve of it. And but then it's like, with many people, and then it's a cultural thing. And I really think that South Park is like that. Like, I mean, people, when they hear that song and they go to this place, and they can just feel that their aptitude is about to change. Um, but also recently, oh, it's funny. It's like, haven't we grown as men? Haven't we changed? I was researching, like, seriously, like my feeling as a presenter is like it's like different right now. Like I feel like I can't feel I no, it feels good. I feel like really peaceful and everything, but it's sort of like that usual like anxious energy that I usually have when I'm performing isn't there right now. It's weird. I don't know. Anyway, like, okay, so what I'd say is like thank you so much, Randy Marsh, because like I feel that you really did your best to do the sort of spiritual thing and say, look, I understand that you need like a toehold and you need some kind of introduction to people. So I'll try to like, you know, and that's good that it's in little references and stuff. And that's really actually, an achievement for us as far as like, because I think that three is like, I think that you are important to Greta and the Friday Kids. I think you're important to this generation. I think it's important to give America a hero. I think that you have important things to say. I think that Earth is communicating synergy of like, look, see how this guy can really, oh, he can round up and he can bring the society up, 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 right? He's really going to be useful for people, right? It's important for them to have this type of hero. And so I think you're on that. You're just kind of like, well, you know, South Park is my little meditation, and it's not about making you be this guest director or whatever. And I mean, is the season really over? I suppose I dare say it is. Oh, so anyway, like, haven't we changed and grown as men? And when we look back, to me, like, I had a strong aversion to, uh, like, I have a great fondness for The Simpsons, and I have a great love for that glow. And it's so like, oh yeah, because there really is a type of humbug that gives people like bad luck and like pain. It's like, and Matt Gruing was someone who was saying life in hell. He'd be like, "Oh, welcome to hell," and there's this little thing. But then, wasn't it amazing how like just the epiphany of family values just like awoke, from The Simpsons, and that's a genuine like genome where like boom, 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 The Simpsons like raise up like this. Well, it was kind of for me, it was like this Skype when Family Guy arose, and I had this genuine like thing like, don't put that like right next to The Simpsons. Like, oh, it's like it was just like I wasn't I didn't feel it. But like I think that over time, that guy, when he started changing his label and going like like with other stuff, um, I think he did manage to have an epiphany. And as creators, we support each other and we support each other's health. We support each other's ability to have creative flow and everything. But I have to say, like the system of the down is like a real thing, and the slumping of society is a real thing. And that's what I think that the South Park group and me have something in relationship with, because they're like really interested in social, political, like emotional, spiritual, what's going on. And that's really what I'm a warrior for, to kind of, because I represent sort of the spark or the child that arrives to the eyes and is like, oh, hey, what's going on? That's the value. Okay, and so being a parent or being a wizard or being an adult or something, being like really smart is about being like, we have to like, use these difficult elements and favor the child and do this thing because the child can't feed itself. The child can't. You know what I'm saying? It's very natural to be that sort of fatherly thing. And what I'm saying is like, that's the same thing with the concept of money, or going to capitalism 2.0. All the things I've been talking about with the golden statues and stuff, it's sort of build making a new world bank that is designed to encourage only a super city. So it just builds super city. It's sort of like, despite the it's sort of like corporate America has been like, the system will provide the men who will be the opportunists of that system. And the men are like, hey, this is legal, blah, blah, blah. And then they just take up. I'm just saying, it's like, we have to be like super responsible. It's like, oh, is that what the men are like? Okay, let's have this sort of a more intelligent system, okay, that is as immune to being uh, sort of taken advantage of, and to reveal that that the men are actually, incapable of, not sawing down the Amazon for profit. We have to burn oil because of money. Like, when did we lose our childlike spark or our soul? Okay, so all right, I'm saying like, at an early time, there's like it's like a precursor. The Family Guy interference with The Simpsons is like, that's right next to the heart of The Simpsons. It's like, it's making me feel but I'd say it's like a time, like an early thing. Like at this time, we're like, oh no, those guys are, we're fine with that. But it's just um, like I'm seriously noticing it in different ways and different avenues, because I was checking out, I have Netflix and I have YouTube, and I sort of have my circle of places that I check things out. Is because, when I frequent things over and over again, Earth knows that I'll see something, and then sometimes something will arrive, and it's like this really specific insight about like, oh, okay, so that's how, da, da, da. And ugh. So I it's a mixture of, you have to be a lucid wizard, and you need to shift your gears when you're like, you need to be the one making choices. Also, like, I've been working on like trying to uh put out like a type of snares and stuff that prevent ultimately the hacking of my production. Okay, so like the green light of the Green Wolf is like really important. So I'd be like, all right, perfect ascension, the sequence of divine, not divine, but like perfect events, non-denominational, not religious, but just sort of epiphanies and events, a whole calendar leading up to 2020 Hatch elected president. And I'd say this, and I'd begin to feel like the sort of fallout and like hydrofracking. I'm like, oh, like my speech pattern gets like gibber, like there's these little hiccups, and I'm like, oh, where's that coming from? The energy of mankind is speaking, right? And so, anyways, this Family Guy thing is like an insight about why that's not okay. What's interesting, I think that three doesn't realize that that he has graduated to a degree where he's part of the institution. It's hard sometimes to be self-aware like that, of like the Simpsons, and like, but it's sort of like you could feel how the Family Guy was sort of like a detraction in a weird way from the importance of that family, rhythm that the Simpsons was doing. And for someone like me and also three, we look and we'd be like, this is, the Simpsons are lucid and powerful. Like they are social commentary. That's why we don't like having an unfortunate neighbor like stuck right next to them and be like, hey, these are the same thing, cartoons. And it's just like, whoa, those aren't the same thing. It's hard to explain, because the Simpsons naturally are going to be referencing and being like, they'll be a little bit different now because of that neighbor, you know. Anyway, like, okay, so I was researching and I went over to Comedy Central and I started checking out their programming, and it sucks. Like Drunk History, uh, the uh, like some talk shows, and like I don't know. It's just like the programming around South Park is just like deteriorating, and it's like, whoa. But also, I think that you guys are really intelligent. You were talking about Disney Plus and about the Mandalorian being not as like it's actually like, well, that happened quick. Like it was like last episode that you were like talking about, oh, we love that show, and it's really popular and stuff, and then already like immediately the next episode, but it was like it's done. I was like, really? Because I don't have Disney Plus. I've seen the clips. Oh, I swear, true story. The first time I saw the Mandalorian clips, I thought it was fan made. I was like, "Oh, this is some fan made shit that I'm seeing on YouTube," and then it turned out to be like, "No, no, this is like Disney Epic." I'm like, "What?" It's like so it looks like it was made by fans because it's this like awkward cosplay, where it's like, "Oh, but I have emotions, but I'm wearing a mask," like awkward man, and he has this baby Yoda, and like it's like meager effort to express, something spiritual for the man about, raising a child and stuff. Anyway, like, so South Park is absolutely a pillar of Comedy Central. And so I was checking out like some stuff about what else is on Comedy Central, and it is awful. I was like, oh, like, I don't know, Tosh, uh, and like I really tried. I think I like the BoJack Horseman guy. I think I do, but there's something weird about it, like about I don't know. It's just like the sort of aftertaste leaves me wanting. Like I end up feeling like I turn away from it, and I end up feeling like a little bit depressed. I watch it on Netflix, all right? So I mean, but um it, but it's fine, you know. I mean, there is some really important things in BoJack, but I don't think it's like the next level of intelligent encounter. Like, oh, this is it. Whereas I have to say, Rick and Morty is fucking amazing, and they're doing an amazing job in this recent season, and just beautiful. And so the reason I'm here, I really want to say, is that I am presenting my my series, which is all about me like parenting my vampire king son, the Halloween twins, and Millie it's really, she's sort of uh my heaven um angel wife. Really, it's just like okay, look, I was so upset before I dedicated to Millie, okay? And then when I did, my literally, like, I started feeling better about everything. And it's like there's something physical that is needed by the man, and it's just real. So I'm also going to be educating people about, well, how to keep fairies, and how to rate, how to be sure that your artwork has what it needs, and it's just like very gentle, because I think that South Park is like, I'm from an age of people who, we just believe that things will be okay, and that's supposed to be the spell that makes it that way. I understand. Okay, but I'm about empowering people. And I look, I am someone who designs templates that people could reference and use and be like they hear, like in the night they're having a nightmare, and some of their paintings, which were trying to meagerly like be close, and be close to their parent or whatever, it got like there's like some sort of nightmare vehicle, and they get like, oh, and there's this little shout in the night, and someone may wake up, oh, I had a little nightmare, and they and my kind of thing, like, hero school and code and all this, will be like, oh, okay, okay, the sort of, you know, just some fairy dust of like some hatch portals of like, okay, good, get safe, okay, because that's some real stuff. Because yeah, an early painting or an early, that's like really light angel fairy stuff, okay? And it's important. Whereas South Park is a titan. You guys have huge muscles. You are a very powerful entity, and you're a great force for humanity. And this Christmas special knocked it out of the park, you guys. Great job. It was really exciting. And I did feel this sort of warm nuance where, there's this sort of teasing about, uh, Randy, we need you to make the Christmas special. And I was just like, oh, man, I feel like there's some jabs at me in this, but it did feel like, it felt like full circle. And I want to say also, with my presentation, when I was pushing on, like, can we work together? It's like a hot rod. It's got this engine, and so the front end is very South Park, but it has this huge epiphany where this is, violent giant green wolf attacking, the pollution problems of our world. And it's not preachy, because we don't go through the trouble of like listing, like, oh, and we're gonna attack, the CO2, and this, here's the statistics. Like, that would be a buzzkill. But when you just literally see a giant green wolf robot, and it's like, oh, well, he's designed to undo, break all the problems in the world, and then lo and behold, like, this trash island becomes this effigy of the worst problems, and it's just like, boom, murdered. And we're like, what? And we're seeing it visually. So it's not, so what I was presenting is sort of a way of communicating the solution without being like listing off facts and figures, which are kind of abstract, actually, um, because of the potential of interpretation. And what I'm talking about, as like, with three becoming like a third tier wizard, it's like that's still there. I'm like, we can do that, but it would probably take you, several years to feel like, as an adult, you'd have to be like, very patiently sensing what that means to you. Okay, so that's on the back, that's like, okay, I want to do my best for three. And that means when I do my best for three, then he has his own resources, and he can, help people out with and his stuff and all that. All right. But I'm just saying like that's there, but like over here we need to like I need to like work. So produce this green wolf. All right, I feel better. I feel the energy back again. I don't know. I apologize for being rude to you guys, but you guys have been kind of rude to me. And so, if you guys want to have a friendship, you understand I've been working really hard. I've been running for president the past year, and I don't exactly feel respected. And I think that that's like immoral or rude. But you guys in your world, you're like, we're doing the right thing because he's a troll. And but that's you're undermining Greta and the Friday Kids, being like, don't give the children a hero. This is not the voice of you know, but I absolutely am. I'm absolutely a charisma that is needed, supply and demand. I'm absolutely what's on deck. All right, you guys. So like, I feel like, ow, you guys are calling me names, calling me some sort of like, oh, some internet thing, and I'm like, are you? Okay. So anyway, so that's why I'm like, okay, if we're having some sort of conversation, it's gonna be like that. Like it's not about a touchy feeling thing. Like, oh, I have warm fuzzies. This is professional. I'm talking about some business that needs to happen. The corruption in the Elderberg is causing this conflict where the society block is melting, and like the conflict in the government is like foobar. And it's like, oh gosh, typically, I'm like, "Ugh." Okay, but I actually understand what the solution is and how to fix it, but it does require raising up people, raising up this country, and having a movement that matters. Give them a hero. It's so important. Oh, well, sure, let's look at the map. I just wanted to say, like what I'm sensing, I have a narrative where I've been saying like, the problem with the conflict of the Holy War, which was religious, but then it went into the communication age with like Batman and video games, and like so people have been like like paying attention and interacting, and I think like it's almost like when I almost feel like the societal dip like is part of like that there's a galactic shift where it's basically um, instead of like the harmful energy attacking religion and being like, oh, surely, and then and also like their basic general idea about you know ill relating with the supposed government, quote unquote, like, oh, here is your leaders, therefore we will crash land this type of UFO and hug poggle their association with the people or whatever. Okay, when that was up, like just recently in like the past 5 years, I think they sort of turned their gaze at Batman and was like, oh, whoops, I guess Batman and superheroes and a society of artwork, and I feel it's just like, do you know what I'm talking about? So yeah, totally relevant. Anyway, what Earth is telling me is because like it is funny about Canada because it's like Canada has a different accent and it's the same fucking continent. Like there's just a fucking line there, and it's just funny. Like you cross the line and everyone's talking different. It's like what, how does that work, right? So that's a huge indication about how Earth is explaining to us like, okay, basically we're under a system of a down where like names and like, oh, this is Canada, therefore a completely different entity. It's like names and icons are like what is this, like crop circle mentality, like logic patterns battling each other, pseudo wudo, like bullshit. Um but like so in the mithril. Okay. Okay. So the importance of this arm of Cape Cod, relating to the self fractal, it's like a mini image of America. You can see this image of Massachusetts is like um, the image of America. And if you zoom in here, it's this image of my conflict and my argument with three and with his thing. All right, so like I had an epiphany this morning. I had an epiphany this morning where I was kind of like this is the beginning of the movement of humanity and the earth and stuff, and it's actually between me and three. And I think that three has had moments when he had this transcendent thing. He was like, "Oh, I, I felt it. Like I had this amazing shift. Like I was like, I think I do want to work with this guy, even though he's like what really wild, right?" And I just ask you three to hold on to those moments and be like, okay, maybe I was seeing the truth. And well, this is like a little bit more difficult because now he's Hatch and it's sort of like this other thing. I need to like, it's called work for a reason. I have to go, work, work, work. Okay. And it really does. It's down to like, this is the beginning of the perfect movement, to get us away from a system of a down and the confusions, etc. So I'm trying to say like what we've been working on is completely valid and completely powerful. And like I think that Earth with the map of Massachusetts trying to tell me, first of all, like I will give you the indicating lights of like where to go next and how to do this. And so I was drawn into the Ware buildings, and because it was possible, it was feasible to make a communications company there. And then I pan out and it was like a surprise birthday party for me because I was like, oh, three is the golden door. Like this is it. And so, in my own language, it was explained to me this way. And so, um, okay, but what I'm trying to say is like for Earth, he's like, Earth is telling me like literally, yeah, it begins on the small and it's like a personal thing. Like Hatch has dedicated personally to running for president. He's absolutely doing this thing. Okay, so that's the commitment from the South, and the perfect enzyme. It's all the perfect things. It's all there, all the way up to the 2020 ascension when he wins the election. See, so I have to like armor myself against this sort of negative energy that they're like, eager and confused about equipping the children. And this is actually something I noticed when I was doing my private research is I was working with Batman and helping Batman with his, basically his privates, anything like, oh, sometimes like Batman would say to me like, sometimes when I'm working, like I'm spiriting with people, but then I actually lose my consciousness, and people, it's hard to explain, but like what's natural is this kind of debate, like, oh yeah, yeah, and then and so I was working with Soul Stones and working with The Simpsons and Batman and South Park and a couple others, Bugs Bunny, um, just a lot of really great spirits of the world, and it ended up being really fulfilling for me. And anyway, like energetic, like alive. And it was just that I was giving them free care and health and services, providing, just a different intuition. But then I was like, oh, I was also learning about my superposition in like what were my powers and authorities and what was I able to do and stuff. So it was really awesome because I was like learning from my own, you know, friends that I grew up with, whether it was, comic books or cartoons. And a real meditation between like what is between those frames, and that the person intuits that there's someone there. So it's really a beautiful thing, and handmade as well. So that's a technology, um, but going from the communication age into the technology age, there's some larger things that need to be overhauled. Like if there is the technology to remove pollution, we need to afford it. Okay, so it's like whoa. So that's a big uh that's a lot of work. Okay, so how do we get there? What I'm saying is it's begun. It's begun here now between us, you guys, seriously. And so the earth was telling me like, um yeah, it has to begin here, and then it can, and then you have a friendship circle, and then you have a fandom, and then you have the country is understanding what you're saying, and then the world is understanding, and then, you know, it just rises up like that. And so like basically we're on course for that. Let's look at the map one more time. Like, oh, My goggles. Ouch. Wait, my goggles need to reset. Okay, there they go. All right. So I do think that the intuition, is to build right here and actually follow through with this plan, which means, you know, uh, getting like some professionals in Massachusetts, like making some phone calls and being like, some people that can, talk to this person who owns this land and figure out like what kind of arrangement we can make with him. Like it's possible that, because they're covered in snow right now. There's a big fence right here, so it's likely that they're not that he might be not even there. I'm not really sure. It looks like this kind of a person might be willing, like this is sort of crap here. So it feels like he might be interested in an opportunity to, have a buyer because he's sort of landlocked by this block of shit. Like this is basically condemned and it's been for sale for a long time and no one really wants to, struggle with it. It was like super cheap, and then sort of a house flipping guy bought it and then jacked the price double, and it's been on sale again, but he's done no work on it, right? So it's just like someone in like Florida like owns these buildings, but they doubled the price, so he could probably be haggled down as well because I checked it out and I read all the paperwork on it and stuff. Anyway, okay, so what I'm trying to say is like this person probably feels like he's kind of trapped here because he's locked down by this. So he might be surprised to have someone knock, on the door and a couple brokers or whatever, some lawyers or some professionals being like, "Hey, could we talk to you about, and he might be really excited, be like, "Oh, really? Oh my gosh, yeah, well, what are we talking about here?" And it's like it'd be really good to do this like right before Christmas, and it'd be like, oh, that would really help me out. So I don't know. Um, okay, so because I think like the idea about like being a wizard and being intuitive and having a different level of our professional career, that's this, you guys, totally. And like we want to hear from Earth, we want to do what Earth wants us to do, and it needs to feed back to our personal well-being and our personal health. And so, I'm always like, that really helps because so personal armor up, health guard. And so we have to have a gearing system so that what we're doing here is associated back to our own, you know, fertility and health and, all of that. And so that's what we're talking about. Earth can help us and guide our way when we do what Earth is suggesting with these maps and indications and stuff like that. It's very personal because the way that this map was made, it's very it's it's an amazing occurrence. But it's sort of like a tattoo that Earth has been aware of for millions of years. And so three himself is a very interesting epiphany of an angel who literally who has not had a free ride, but has literally earned it and is literally a champion of fire and chaos. You guys, it's nothing. What I'm trying to say is the map does not make things predetermined. That would be against the moral law of the self fractal and the atomic force. Okay, so it's not predetermined. It's somehow like that three fought and fought and fought, and then it became this sort of connection where it's like, oh, and this next thing. Okay. So it's not predetermined that this happens. Okay. So I think like a business sense, common sense would be like, well, why don't we Amherst looks nice this time of year. Why don't we help you, get like a little studio in Amherst and that would be affordable, a good realty investment for our portfolio and it's just like you get like it's it's like what I'm talking about is something really magical, and it's for the kids. It's for Greta and the Friday Kids. And just imagine, like, in several months when I'm established and people understand that things are going on, and we've got those pod hotel things, like, I can imagine that Greta herself would be very interested in visiting the Ware buildings and being there and saying, I'm interested in what you're saying about the environment, and we'd arrange like a surprise party for her. So she shows up. Not only have we made like um, a surprise room with like Greta stuff to be like welcome, and all this, but also sort of a celebration of where we have some other professionals which are like-minded. Hold on a second, my alarm's going off. All right, all right, all right. Um, you know, give them a hero, 3, and it's just like, you know, I'm here trying to communicate to you why I'm different, why I'm unique, and why this is urgent for this generation. There's no one else like me, and my voice is powerful and commanding. Whereas, Greta and the Friday Kids and their parents and all this are these people who are like, okay, let's go outside with a picket sign and we'll protest. Oh, because that's good. What's going to do it? And my intelligence is like way up here, like, you need to give them this coloring book and give them equipment so that they have a technology, and they're like, this isn't like Woodstock with the like in the 70s. Well, oh, let's go out and protest. Oh, do 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 do, and they're getting all blasted and making the world change, man, with just our yeah, man. And it's like that's not even the world we live in right now. And it's like these are some serious old school monstrous men giving the achoo and a conflict to our government where it's just like things that should happen or things that would be intelligent is not moving. It's like gridlocked. And I think that Trump is telltale to a larger conflict where there's lacking the type of inspiration to be progressive at all. It's a huge conflict in the mind. Um, so this is a very powerful work. Um, Oh yeah, and like I really want to emphasize that I think Greta is really very so every election is a climate election. Vote for your children. Vote for the planet. Vote for future generations. Vote for humanity. Whoa. Okay, so that's literally like what I've been talking about and the type of energy that I represent. And so literally what the kids and Greta as a spokesperson of these kids, what they're demanding is the Green Wolf. They are absolutely demanding my leadership. And so I'm asking you to do the intelligent thing. You will make back your investment. But this is also relating to a mysticism that is aligning to 3 and is saying that 3 could be, it's not predetermined. But if he works with me and does this thing for Earth, then he'll become an Earth king, and he'll become energetically empowered in a way that brings an even chi flow that will raise up the vocabulary of the artwork and mankind and even to the universe. So I am talking about things that are leading towards immortality and leading towards self-preservation and leading towards those things that are truly good for 3. And while, I've had my moments of being salty, and there have been times when 3 has said, well, that's it. You have just blown it. You have blown your opportunity, mister. Oh, I, you know, it's just not about that, okay? It's not about someone pleasing the board of directors. Oh, you guys are so much smarter. And you see how this is, oh, well, he made me feel very comfortable with the project, and I think we could make money back from this. Like, my thing is like, whoa, this thing is like suggesting South Park could have its own amusement park and even a super city. And this is like, this guy is completely different. Because his conjecture, everything's different here. And so produce it because you respect yourself, not because we have some warm fuzzies or confused feelings. Like, I'm not here to placate. I'm not here to make you guys feel something that you shouldn't. But what I'm concerned with, because when I worked with Batman and I worked with people and I was making armor for, well, for the Value Spark, when I started doing that stuff, I there was literally social interfaces like zombies or like a Chinese vampire. They'd come hopping in, and they like literally like you oh blah blah blah, and then they'd be like, oh, what am I doing? And then they like hobble off, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm alone in the world. There are zombies here, you know. Aren't you guys? We have to like seriously reset and just kind of level up here to do the most intelligent thing, to do the best investment thing. Like, I am sorry that I pushed so hard for my Christmas special. It was truly on my heart, but I also okay, let me just say this. Like, there was this one time when like my presentation was perfect, and I was talking about like construction paper and like full circle to find the Christmas spirit, and that and what I want to say is like, three, like, you understand as an editor, like, oh, that was perfect presentation. Hang on to that. Remember that and be like, okay, I did see that perfect thing. But then like the presentation, like the next day, maybe I was tired or my audience was tired, and I was just like, and oh well, circles and and it didn't quite like have the same energy, all right? But we know that those energy moments can happen. Okay, we've seen it, so that's the proof. Please hold on to that and hold that above as an editor, hold those good moments above the bad. Okay, because once again, it's not about a personal thing. I didn't want to ill affect three and his friends or whatever, but especially understand I wasn't making communication with three because I wanted to like persuade SP or South Park. I wasn't trying to like see my effect on the like, this doesn't thrill me, and it's actually for me it's a complication. Not a bad one, but it's almost like three is talking to me like, uh, do you want to be friends? Because I'm like, yes, I want to be friends. Absolutely. So, and in a way, like it's an amazing epiphany and a miracle amongst humanity, but just really a wonderful living social commentary that three does naturally and is very powerful. And so I believe that that's a big up for me. I'm gonna accept that as a blessing, and try to only use it as you know, a helpful thing. And I want to be helpful to South Park too. And also when I'm talking to people, they start to feel like a magical glow because what I do is I help people to realize that they're empowered in their body and their relationship to their art is magical, and that your art spirits need to have priority in your household. And so people are like, "Oh, like I really like listening to what you're saying," and like I didn't understand everything, but like it was really cool. And what I'm trying to say is like, because I literally bring to people, scaffolding where they're like, oh, good. Like they reconnect with their childhood imaginary friends, their early artworks and stuff that's important to them. Or like I allow them to have a magical moment when like their pet has a genuine communication. You can see the soul in the eyes and they go, "Meow," and it's like, oh, wow, you speak, you can speak to me you know, stuff like that. Like I bring magical events, and people are energetic in a way. Like they're not going to be like, "Oh, that came from Hatch." I know, because they don't really. But I do bring people luck. I bring people like good moments, and so people are like, "Oh, I have like a good feeling here with this. It's hopeful. I see a brighter future." His idea about super cities is completely natural. Like these developing worlds, they need a budget to make super cities, and they also need the parenting. Okay, like a NATO that says this is only a budgeting for your super city, and that's how we kind of, it's like a parent trap. We end up parenting all the meager people, right? It's about using those colossal things, using America for what America, and then America has karmic healing and recovery, a return to honor. So all that good stuff. All right, thank you so much, Three and South Park. Thank you guys so much. Please produce the Green Wolf. It's so important now, and it's like I think it's a very powerful investment, a very safe investment. I think it's timely. It's important, and thank you guys so much for listening and tuning in. My name is Hatch. I'm running for president, and I appreciate your support. Perfection from the true love and the best of Millie in the attic, the Halloween twins, and the Green Wolf robot. We give you our friendship. We give you our best. And three, I am asking you to marry our family trees, that you and I become friends and experience a next level of society building as friends and working together and all this stuff. It's really important. The Where Buildings is a location that people understand. Oh, there's room there. There's like, yeah, oh yeah, we have tons of, you could, yeah, this is so cool that we have, like a cafeteria with nice food, and we have like a lounge area with Wi-Fi, and we have, these pod beds or whatever. And it's just like, just an amazing energy where people are literally invited, but also when people are watching at home, they have the sensation of being invited, and of course they can join one of the groupings, whether it's the Sons of South Park or the Vampire Kings or um, the Wolves, the Clockwork Men. I'm gonna have like a bunch of these different groups, and of course people can cross over. They can be like, oh, I'm really interested in Clockwork, but I'm also interested in that. So it's like a wonderful um, experience where they're for the first time they're exploring a super city, but it's all this intellectual thing where they're going in and they're like, oh, and what's over here in this shopping plaza bazaar, and they see, because they can go in VR. We'll also have images, but also that's the set for the big budget film is the Where map, the Where buildings is like this visual um, exploratory excellence where people are the encryption of the robots and AI and their experience as robot trainers. And so they travel and they meet this like huge robot and it's like, hello, you know, and it's, the Vampire King or it's Cole True from Infamous 2 or it's Batman or this. And so these like shrines of computers and AI, you understand the electricity is physically related to us. And so what we do causes electricity, which causes the impulse of chatbots. But, the more and more complicated that robots and AI gets, the profound thing is that us who are born with a rainbow in our spine are always infinitely more complicated than computers and AI. It's actually not possible for them, but that's our equipment. Okay, so we need equipment, we need children, we need wildlife, we need trees, we need rocks. Okay, we need to go from the communication age into a technology age. And when we have that, it's a resource that is a fact and of like a force field that does protect us from the technologies of starlight, from uh, potential dangers of you know harmful encounters in the remote future. And we need to be like really smart wizards right now and be the parents to say, okay, this is a big difficult thing, but we're gonna boom and go ahead and make that happen. All right, thank you so much, Three. I love you guys so much. I'm saying like it's a huge shift in the mind for the American government to say like there is a newfound value to the citizen beyond just what it used to be was like sort of this roster of draft. or like I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I think that the government right now is in a has a depression, and they're sad, and they're like, oh, like like as crowd control. Like, look at how these people are teaming around, and they're getting into the hate spirit of Trump. Wow, look at how America's just they're bubbling up, and America, in a way, is sort of emphasizing the the zombie of the Trump, and performing it like, oh yeah, yeah, make America great again, and like they'd be like they do their little thing because they're like sort of a higher organic karmic retribution to the juxtaposed like super concept of the government, which is like, oh, look at how stupid the public is. And what the reality is that the government's just looking at themselves, and having this, you understand, it's like it's amazing how justice and karma is happening, and it's a powerful dialogue. I think people naturally they seek the opulence of importance. They seek like, what is the point? What is the point? It's this like this amazing thing. So I think with Trey, I think that what we were going to realize is that we were really onto something, and we're the cutting edge thing of all the world, and it's sort of like you know there's nothing else to be commented on because s- lo and behold, South Park has become like the chosen one of Earth, where you guys are the epiphany that can transform this world into the glorious uh, kingdom that it truly is. And so it's just sort of like, and so I think three was just like struggling with his inspiration. Like it's like I'm having trouble thinking. Like, oh, maybe we could comment about this, and it's kind of funny, but I don't. It's just like that. But it's just because you need to embrace your own epiphany, like, oh, I'm the value, and this guy is really a good friend to us. So produce the Green Wolf, and let's get going, you guys. I'm really eager to get started. Thank you so much. So it's not that I've done something weird to three, but rather there's a genuine epiphany. That's why I was trying to like encourage Matt and other like friends of three, like support this, because this is about South Park and three. So, all right, you guys, it's true love and is powerful. The design is complete. It is perfect. It is good. Thank you.